Hello, everyone. What I'm about to tell you is so shocking, so unbelievable, that it might seem like fiction, but every word is true. Imagine living in a place where you can't wear what you want, listen to the music you love, or even speak freely in your own home. A place where saying the wrong word could make you disappear forever. Where not crying enough at a leader's funeral could land you in prison. Where attempting to leave means your entire family faces punishment. This is not a movie script or a dystopian novel. This is the terrifying reality of life in North Korea today. In the next few minutes, I'll take you inside a world completely hidden from our eyes. By the end, you'll feel shocked, heartbroken, and grateful for the freedom you have. But don't turn away. What you're about to hear is the truth the world doesn't want you to know. Everything I'm about to share has been verified by those who risked their lives to escape and tell their stories. For over 70 years, North Korea has been ruled by a single-family dynasty that treats the entire country as their personal kingdom. It all began with Kim Il-sung, who seized power in 1948. Using violence, propaganda, and an iron grip on every aspect of society, he transformed North Korea into the world's most isolated and controlled nation. When Kim Il-sung died in 1994, his son, Kim Jong-il, took control. He continued his father's brutal legacy, building nuclear weapons while his people starved. During a devastating famine in the 1990s, millions died of hunger. Yet Kim Jong-il spent billions on luxury homes, expensive wines, and an elaborate film collection. Today, his son Kim Jong-un rules with the same merciless authority. While he lives in palatial compounds and enjoys every imaginable luxury, most North Koreans survive on less than $5 per month. He maintains power through fear, executing anyone who questions his authority, even his own family members. These 3 generations of Kims have created a system where 26 million people exist solely to serve their wishes. They've convinced their population that they are divine beings with supernatural powers. Every home must display their portraits. Every citizen must bow before their statues. Every child learns that the Kims are their living gods. Yet behind the gleaming monuments and grand military parades lies a country in ruins. While the Kim family feasts on imported delicacies and travels in armored luxury trains, ordinary North Koreans struggle to find enough food to survive. This is the reality of life under the Kim dynasty, a family that has mastered the art of turning an entire nation into their own private kingdom of suffering. From the moment a North Korean takes their first breath, their entire destiny is already decided, not by their talents, dreams, or hard work, but by an invisible system called songbun. This complex social hierarchy divides all North Koreans into 51 categories within 3 main classes: the loyal core class, the wavering middle class, and the hostile lower class. Your songbun classification determines everything: where you can live, what job you can have, how much food you receive, even who you're allowed to marry. But here's the cruel twist. You don't earn your songbun, you inherit it. The regime examines your family history going back 3 generations, scrutinizing every detail about your ancestors. Did your grandfather fight for North Korea during the war? Your family might receive special privileges. Was your great-aunt married to a businessman before the revolution? Your entire family line is marked as suspicious and denied basic opportunities. Even if your ancestors' supposed crime happened decades before you were born, you'll still pay the price. Once assigned, your songbun status is nearly impossible to change. A person born into the hostile class will never be allowed to live in Pyongyang, attend university, or hold an important job, no matter how loyal or hard-working they might be. They're confined to the poorest regions, given the most dangerous jobs, and receive the smallest food rations. The system creates a cruel cycle of inherited poverty and privilege. Children born to high Songbun families attend the best schools and receive preferential treatment, while those with low Songbun are denied education and opportunities from birth. Many grow up never knowing why their families are treated as outcasts, as discussing Songbun status is strictly forbidden. Perhaps most devastating is how Songbun tears families apart. If one person is accused of disloyalty, their entire extended family's status can be instantly downgraded. Parents warn their children to avoid friendships or marriages with lower Songbun families, fearing their own status might be tainted. In this way, the system turns North Koreans against each other, making them complicit in their own oppression. Imagine living in a place where your clothing isn't a personal choice, but a matter of state control. In North Korea, every aspect of personal appearance is strictly regulated, down to the tiniest detail. Women are forbidden from wearing jeans, pants that are too tight, or skirts above the knee. The color red is effectively banned in clothing and makeup because it's considered a symbol of capitalist decadence. Even something as simple as wearing a pair of earrings can lead to serious consequences. The regime's control over hairstyles is equally severe. Citizens must choose from a limited selection of state-approved haircuts. 28 styles for women and 15 for men. Men's hair cannot be longer than 5 centimeters, while married women are expected to keep their hair short. Young, unmarried women have slightly more flexibility, but are still bound by strict rules. Anyone caught with an unauthorized haircut faces immediate correction or punishment. The consequences for defying these regulations are brutal and swift. A young woman from Pyongyang was arrested for wearing a pair of skinny jeans. She spent 6 months in a labor camp, forced to work 16-hour days while enduring constant beatings and harassment. Her crime? Being too Western in her appearance. Government inspectors regularly patrol the streets, armed with scissors and rulers. They measure skirt lengths, check for banned clothing items, and sometimes forcibly cut hair that doesn't conform to regulations. In universities and workplaces, daily inspections ensure everyone maintains an appropriate appearance. Those who fail these inspections face public criticism sessions, fines, or even detention. Even foreign fashion magazines are considered dangerous contraband. A teenage girl was caught with a South Korean fashion catalog hidden under her mattress. She was expelled from school, and her entire family was forced to relocate to a rural village as punishment. The government claims these strict controls protect North Korean culture from corrupt foreign influences, but the real purpose is to maintain absolute control over every aspect of citizens' lives. The regime's grip extends beyond clothing and hair. Women are only allowed to wear minimal makeup, with bright colors strictly forbidden. Men cannot have facial hair. Even the fabric and style of clothing must follow specific guidelines, with shiny or elaborate materials being prohibited. In winter, despite freezing temperatures, coats must be dark and plain, with no foreign branding visible. In North Korea, even the most basic human need, food, is weaponized as a tool of control. The government operates a strict rationing system that determines who eats and who starves. Every month, families receive their designated food allowance based on their loyalty to the regime and their social status. For most, it's barely enough to survive. A former resident revealed that his family's monthly ration consisted of just 600 grams of rice per person, less than what many people in other countries eat in a week. To stretch these meager supplies, North Koreans mix their rice with tree bark, wild grass, and corn stalks. Some have resorted to boiling leather from their shoes to create a broth that might keep them alive for one more day. The state-run shops are nearly empty, their shelves displaying only propaganda posters instead of food. While the elite in Pyongyang enjoy imported delicacies, ordinary citizens line up for hours hoping to receive their basic rations. Markets operate in the shadows, where desperate people trade whatever they have for food, knowing they risk imprisonment if caught. During the Great Famine of the 1990s, known as the Arduous March, millions starved to death while the government continued to spend money on weapons and luxury goods for the leadership. Parents were forced to watch helplessly as their children withered away. Some families resorted to eating grass and insects, while others simply disappeared, entire households succumbing to hunger. Even today, food insecurity remains a constant threat. A farmer who escaped described how the government takes up to 70% of each harvest, leaving barely enough for the farmers to survive. Children in rural areas still search through fields for hours, hoping to find a few grains of rice or corn that might have been missed during harvest. Meanwhile, in Pyongyang, the elite dine in restaurants serving sushi and steak, a stark reminder of the regime's cruel priorities. From the moment North Koreans open their eyes each morning, their minds are not their own. Every home is fitted with a government-issued radio that cannot be turned off or tuned to any other station. These speakers blare propaganda day and night, filling every household with endless praise for the supreme leader and warnings about the evil outside world. In schools, children learn that Kim Jong-un can read their thoughts and knows when they're being disloyal. They're taught that he's so powerful he can control the weather with his emotions, and that his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, literally turned pine cones into bullets and grains of rice into grenades to defeat Korea's enemies. These aren't just stories. Questioning them can lead to disappearance or death. Every book, newspaper, and television program is carefully crafted to maintain the illusion of North Korea's superiority. Citizens are told that the outside world is a hellscape where people live in poverty and chaos, while North Korea is a paradise thanks to the wise leadership of the Kim dynasty. Those caught with foreign media face execution. A young man was recently shot in front of his family for the crime of watching a South Korean drama series. The cult of personality surrounding the Kim family reaches into every aspect of life. Citizens must wear badges bearing the leaders' images over their hearts. Every home must display portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, which must be cleaned daily with a special cloth. During weekly neighborhood meetings, people must publicly confess their sins against the regime and criticize their neighbors for perceived disloyalty. The internet as we know it doesn't exist in North Korea. Instead, citizens have access only to a closed national intranet system called Kwangmyong, containing strictly approved websites. Making an international phone call or sending a letter abroad is considered treason. Even within families, people are afraid to speak freely, knowing that children are taught to report their parents' words to authorities. Those who dare to think independently face severe consequences. A university professor disappeared after students reported him for expressing doubt about the official version of Korean history. A teenage girl was sent to a labor camp because she was caught writing in her diary that she sometimes wondered what life was like in South Korea. The message is clear. In North Korea, your thoughts are not your own. The brutal reality of North Korea's prison camps stands as a testament to unimaginable human cruelty. Imagine being arrested without warning, without trial, without any chance to defend yourself. One small act of disobedience, a foreign song, a forbidden prayer, a wrongly spoken word, and you vanish into a nightmare that few survive. Camp 14 stands as one of the most horrific facilities in this vast prison network. Prisoners wake before dawn and work until their bodies give out, surviving on a few kernels of corn and dirty water each day. The lucky ones catch rats and insects to stay alive. Those too weak to work face beatings with rifle butts and metal rods until they either rise or die where they fall. The most chilling aspect of North Korea's prison system is the 3 generations rule. When someone is accused of a crime, their entire family, parents, siblings, children, are imprisoned with them. Grandparents, parents, and children suffer together in these camps, many having committed no crime except being related to the accused. Pregnant women who are caught trying to flee the country are forced to watch their babies die or face execution themselves. Shin Dong-hyuk's story reveals the depths of this horror. Born inside Camp 14 to parents who were prisoners themselves, he never knew a world existed beyond the electrified fences. At age 14, he was forced to watch as guards executed his mother and brother for planning an escape. He learned to survive by scavenging for food and informing on fellow prisoners until he finally achieved what seemed impossible: escape. Former prisoners who survived speak of unthinkable conditions. Children born in the camps never learn to smile. Prisoners fight to the death over scraps of food. Guards routinely select prisoners for torture sessions, forcing them to kneel for hours on broken glass or hang motionless from ceilings until their joints dislocate. Those who collapse during 16-hour work shifts in the mines are beaten where they fall. Death comes in many forms in these camps, from starvation, from disease, from torture, from execution. But perhaps the cruelest death is the slow disappearance of hope, as prisoners realize that the outside world has forgotten them, that no help is coming, that their lives will end behind these walls where even their names are replaced with numbers. Hidden along the Chinese border, a secret network of brave individuals risks everything to help North Koreans escape their prison nation. These modern-day underground railroads operate in shadows, using elaborate systems of safe houses, coded messages, and carefully planned routes through some of the most dangerous terrain on Earth. Crossing the border is just the first deadly challenge. Those who make it into China must evade authorities there too, as China sends escaped North Koreans back to face torture and execution. Defectors travel hundreds of miles through China, usually at night, hoping to reach countries like Thailand or Mongolia where they can claim asylum. The price of failure is beyond imagination. Those caught escaping face unspeakable torture. Fingernails torn out, bones broken with steel pipes, endless beatings. Pregnant women endure forced abortions, especially if their babies have Chinese fathers. Entire families vanish into prison camps when one member attempts escape. Guards force children to watch their parents' executions as a lesson in obedience. Despite these horrors, heroes emerge. Underground Christians risk execution to shelter defectors. Secret networks raise money to bribe border guards. South Korean activists float balloons carrying USB drives, radios, and leaflets across the border, fighting the regime's lies with truth. These small acts of resistance chip away at the wall of fear the government has built. Not all escape attempts end in tragedy. Park Yeon-mi fled North Korea at age 13, enduring a harrowing journey through China's underworld before reaching freedom. Today, she speaks out about the regime's crimes. Others who escaped have become human rights activists, using their freedom to fight for those left behind. Inside North Korea, tiny acts of rebellion grow. People secretly pass contraband USB drives containing foreign movies and news. Hidden radios pick up broadcasts from the South. More citizens dare to question the lies they've been told. While the regime responds with ever harsher crackdowns, the truth continues to spread person by person, whisper by whisper, slowly awakening a population held captive for generations. Many wonder why the world's most powerful nations haven't stepped in to end North Korea's horrific human rights abuses. The reality is far more complex than it appears, with global politics and competing interests creating a web of inaction that allows the regime to persist. China remains North Korea's most powerful ally, providing crucial economic support and diplomatic protection. This isn't out of friendship. China wants to maintain North Korea as a buffer state between itself and U.S.-allied South Korea. A unified, democratic Korea would mean American influence directly at China's border, something Beijing refuses to accept. Russia also plays a dangerous game, using North Korea to challenge Western sanctions and maintain influence in East Asia. Both countries routinely block United Nations efforts to hold North Korea accountable for its crimes against humanity. They provide secret trading routes that help the regime evade international sanctions, allowing it to continue funding its nuclear program while its people starve. Even countries that oppose North Korea's brutality are constrained by fear. The regime's massive artillery arsenal could devastate Seoul within hours of a conflict. Its nuclear weapons program holds millions hostage. Military action risks a catastrophic war that could kill millions and destabilize the entire region. Defense contractors and weapons manufacturers profit from the constant tension, using the North Korean threat to justify massive military spending. Some political leaders exploit fears about North Korea to advance their own agendas. The result is a paralysis where everyone acknowledges the horror, but no one takes decisive action to end it. Meanwhile, North Korea's leaders have learned to manipulate this complex web of international relations. They alternate between provocative acts and diplomatic overtures, extracting concessions while never fundamentally changing. They understand that the world's great powers are more interested in stability than justice, allowing their brutal system to continue year after year, while 26 million people remain trapped in a living nightmare. Take a moment to consider the extraordinary freedom you enjoy right now. You can speak your mind without fear, choose your own path in life, and dream without limits. For 26 million North Koreans, these basic human rights remain an impossible dream. Their story isn't just about a country trapped in darkness. It's a stark reminder of how precious freedom truly is. Every time you choose what to wear, every time you travel freely, every time you share your thoughts online, you're experiencing liberties that North Koreans can only imagine. But there is hope. Despite the regime's iron grip, more North Koreans are secretly questioning their government. They risk everything to access forbidden information, to learn about the outside world, to dream of a different life. Their courage in the face of unimaginable oppression shows the unquenchable human desire for freedom. Remember their struggle. Share their story. The more the world knows about North Korea's brutality, the harder it becomes for the regime to maintain its grip. While we enjoy our freedoms, millions remain trapped in the world's largest prison. Their fight for liberty continues, and their story demands to be told. One day, the walls of this dark regime will crumble. Until then, never take your freedom for granted. It's not just a right. It's a precious gift that millions are still dying to achieve.